come to the interview section of this evening's show, and I am very pleased to tell you that I have a dear friend of mine who goes by the name of Lenzman in the building.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, mate.
It's a bit strange interviewing friends.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was just talking to you, well, before I started mixing, and I wasn't laughing or getting nervous or sweaty, so it's a strange one. But anyway, so, do you mind if we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Okay. So, first question, probably answered it a million times.
Yeah.
How did you come up with your name?
Well, it's not that dissimilar to your artist name, actually. Well, it is and it isn't. Basically, in the 90s, in the mid-90s to late 90s, I was really into hip-hop, and I was out there trying to be a rapper, believe it or not.
Okay. You can spit some bars.
Yeah, nah, that's not happening. But yeah, I was a rapper trying to make it.
Trying to make it.
Trying to make it. I was like Eminem. I was Eminem in 8 Mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I needed to come up with a name.
Yeah.
And I've got a lazy eye.
Right.
And I was really into mangas at the time.
Okay.
I was probably about 16. And you had like Method Man, Redman.
Biggie had a lazy eye.
Well, there you go.
He could have been massive.
Were you saying I'm not?
No.
But anyway, yeah. So the lazy eye kind of led me to Lenzman, which is a manga film.
Right.
And it kind of, you haven't seen it. It's
No,
like
not
it's
this
just
one,
like an intergalactic superhero kind of thing.
Kind of like Self.
Yeah. And it tied in with like Method Man, Redman, and
Man bit on. Okay.
then I got into. I was like getting into drum and bass around about the same time, and I just decided to keep it.
It's a good name. I mean, obviously you know that, but I mean, it looks good written down as well, and it's got a Z in it, but it's not at the end.
Yeah, well, that was the hip hop thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you nailed that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
That's how that happened.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that with us again.
You're most welcome.
Next question, which is obviously as we're in Bristol.
Yeah.
What is your favourite venue in Bristol?
Well, it kind of depends on the party sometimes, but one venue that I really enjoyed playing at is closed down now. It's Loco Club.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Funny enough, we had SP on here, and he picked that as one of his as well.
Yeah,
Loco
it's
Club.
just like the whole setting. It kind of feels proper underground.
Yeah.
Kind of
with the exposed brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like dark. Like I tend to like clubs that are like dark and fairly low ceilings.
Okay.
Where it's more about the music.
More intimate.
Yeah, it's not like the big lights and all the rest of it. It's just music. Like look at the floor.
I think that like
you know what I mean.
Venues that it might sound a bit weird, but venues that have high ceilings or a bit long stage, you definitely lose a connection, don't you? That intimate, that energy that you get from, I guess, containing it. Like the lower the ceiling, the better. Like you say,
it's like a communal
rooms.
experience, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
like being in a club, and like for me, like being part of the audience almost is like probably my favourite way of playing out. Really,
okay,
because it's about tuning into the crowd and finding that connection, and like that's one. Yeah, it's probably like in recent memories, like where I've had like the best nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So Loco Club was your favourite Bristol?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the only club I like, but that's just like if I'm going off recent memories.
Okay.
That's one that I really enjoyed playing at.
Next question is, I've got them written down. Let's see. Right, which one should I pick? What is it like for you to look at the North Quarter now and see where it is and how you've established it? I mean, how does that feel for you?
It feels great, to be honest. Like I'm really proud of where it's gone. Like it's just over 5 years old now.
Wow.
I winged it really to start with. Like I always kind of felt like I wanted to start a label, even when I was like in secondary school, like listening to tapes.
Okay.
Lenzman records. No, I wasn't. I don't think I was thinking about a label then, but I just remember there used to be this kind of cafeteria area, and when it was like break time, me and my mate Dan Steezer, we always used to rush down there to be the first people in, and they had like a little hi-fi system.
Okay.
And we'd get down there and play like NWA tapes. Yeah, but like that kind of drive to share with people music that I really loved. Kind of having a label is kind of an extension of that.
Yeah.
So I just winged it, and I knew I had like a few artists that weren't getting the love that I felt they deserved when I set it up. It's like Red Eyes, FD, Submorphics were like people that I really had in mind to start with.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like I wanted the artwork to be different to kind of the cliche drum and bass artwork.
And that's one thing, that definitely you can say about the North Quarter is the branding's always, from its inception, from the first release, even right up to now, that it definitely has a North Quarter vibe to it, an aesthetic that is your identity, isn't it, as the label? And I think you've really nailed that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with this design studio called Super in Poland, which I stumbled upon through sheer luck. But I wanted it to be like designers that don't have any connection to drum and bass.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would just be its separate thing, no influences from other things.
Yeah.
And it's just it's grown, and like having these artists working with the labels being a blessing.
Do you send the music to the designers, or do they just come up with everything from base?
I do send it over.
So so they're basically just doing their job through being creative and just listening to the music as opposed to.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, they don't actually brief me on their exact process, but they always request listening to it. So I guess they form like some kind of visual direction through listening to it. But it's just grown, and like with that in mind, like COVID's been a blessing to the label because I've just had a lot of time to invest in it. I don't think it would have. Yeah, wouldn't have gone as quickly if I was just DJing all the time. Yeah,
I guess that period allowed people to really sort of dig in and get quite creative, didn't it? Because the usual grind of travelling and gigging at weekends, obviously when that stopped, because obviously that has a knock-on effect, doesn't it? Especially with having a family and getting over your tiredness from the travelling and things like that. So you didn't have any of that anymore.
Yeah,
so you were just fresh.
I almost felt like it was a challenge when it was first kicking in, and gave me like
to get stuff done.
Just to hustle and survive, you know what I mean?
That's the gangster rapper in you coming out.
Yeah. No, but like if I look at it now, like the main thoughts really are just like pride. I'm really happy where it is, and I'm still learning. Yeah. I mean, I've learned a lot since starting it, but
okay. Well, I'm going to ask you more on that shortly, but to lead into the next question,
right?
Because we're going to play a tune and come back to the interview again in a minute, if that's all right with you. Is what is your personal favourite? I say favourite. I know you probably don't really have a favourite tune of your own that you put out on the North Quarter.
Man, I think like a lot of artists have like a strained relationship with their own music. Yeah. But one that I did, in kind of more recently that I really love is "Give Me a Sec" with Danny Sanchez.
Yep.
Just because it's another. Like I've always, I guess it's just throughout the history of me being an artist, I've always sort of tried to intertwine my love for hip hop and drum and bass, and that's. I feel like I've been getting better at that in recent years, and that's kind of a great example of it, I think. Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is, for people that don't know it or who do know it, we're going to go ahead and play it, and then we'll chat a bit after that. All right?
Yep. Swoop.
Okay, so that was "Give Me a Second."
Featuring Danny Sanchez.
So how did you hook up with Danny Sanchez?
It's just a guy that I've been following through his music,
so you were a fan of his?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
I hit him up to see if he was up for working on a tune, and he was up for it.
Brilliant.
And just
That's good. Yeah, I like that. That's a lovely little story.
It's lovely.
Right. Okay. Back to these gnarly questions that I've got for you. So, the first thing I'm going to ask you now is explain your role at the North Quarter nowadays. Like, label boss, A&R in, are you hands-on with the A&R in, or do you just sit back on a big reclined leather sofa and smoke cigars and let other people do it for you?
Just count my money. Nah, I'm actually really active in the label, probably a bit more active than I should be in terms of just how much time it takes.
Do you have a label manager?
I don't.
Oh, okay, so it's all you.
I have been thinking about it, but I COVID happened and just kind of longed it out a bit. But yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of of how I run the label stems from my early experiences of working with metalheads and just have
good or bad?
No, in a good way.
Yeah,
man.
okay.
It was like a proper, we had a little proper family vibe going on.
We did had a good run there.
Yeah, and it was like I was like really I had like a really kind of intense back and forth thing going on with the label manager, and I really felt like he cared, and it was like, as an artist, sometimes we're quite insecure or unsure about what we're working on, and it's just nice to have like a second opinion, someone that's really involved.
Chris.
That was Chris at the time, and like that's kind of the way I approach working with artists on the North Quarter as well. Just have like conversations. It's never like I don't feel like I tell them what to do, but I might give them a suggestion. Yeah, and ultimately the decision's up to them. But so I'm quite active as an A&R. Try and get them vocalists. Yeah, if they need a vocalist for a tune. With regards to artwork, I let them like super design the sleeves and stuff. They often give multiple directions, and I'll talk to the artists, and try and get like
some feedback from them.
Get some feedback and try and get some artwork that everyone's happy with, But yeah, sometimes I work with PR companies and pluggers. Yeah. Sometimes I do stuff on my own.
Do you get sent a lot of demos from established artists to people who just slide in your DMs and send links and stuff?
Yeah, I quite regularly, but honestly, I struggle for time just doing what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So I'm really struggling to listen to the demos. Yeah. So I apologise to anyone that's been sending them. I've just completely blanked them.
That's got you out of a few situations there.
Yeah. Yeah, but honestly, I feel like the labels, in terms of the artist roster, is quite full. And yes, if I find someone really special, then I feel like I might make space for them. But it's not fair on the artists to keep adding more people on, because I've got like a limited amount of time. Yeah. There's limited amount of slots at gigs for label nights. Yeah. There's a limited amount of releases that you can put out in a year. So it's like I'm really happy with the team that there is now. Yeah. So I feel like with demos it's a bit.
Yeah, and there's something what really stands out.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare that it happens.
But it sounds like you got your hands full with everybody there. I mean, if everyone's sending in, I've done this, I'm working on that, who already connected to, that's already a lot of your time taken up, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's probably about 10 artists that I work with regularly.
Okay.
It's just for a one-man team. I've got people helping me, but they're not exactly label managers.
No.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, that was an interesting insight into the inner workings of your hectic mind.
Yeah.
Right, next question is, what are your thoughts on the scene at the moment? That was a big sigh.
Yeah. I mean, there's good and bad bits for me in the scene, and I think like having been listening to drum and bass for a long time and having been part of the scene for quite a long time now, I've seen things change, and some things I think are good and some not as good, but I really like the democracy of music at the minute, where anyone can make a tune and release it if they want. You don't like that ease, like that closeness to the fans through stuff like Bandcamp, for example. Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing, where you can really connect to your audience directly. So that's a positive.
And I guess people can use social media now to be their own advertising.
Yeah, it's like anything, like, yeah, I think like back in the 90s, for example, when I was getting into it, it was like really mysterious. It was almost like the artists were superheroes. Yeah. Or I wasn't even sure if they were real people. Yeah. Yeah. Like, that was like pre-internet. Yeah. It was just like you might get tape. Yeah. And it was like some mythical guy, and now it's like you're very direct to the fans.
Some people live a little bit too life through the lens, don't they? Not mentioning anyone's names or anything, but
But on the other side of it, I mean, I kind of do miss that side as well, because
the mystique to
the
it.
Mystique, yeah, it's like people kind of. I think that's just a problem with society in general now, where it's people just.
You'd only see them.
They want everything and they want it now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's like they haven't got the patience to wait for things, like, you know. And you release a thing and they're done with it on the day that you release it, and they're looking for the next hit. So it's quite, it's fast. It's a fast turnaround, and I kind of feel, sometimes people should. I think they've lost the connection of like the early days a bit, where it's come from. People that have opened doors for artists that are coming through now. So sometimes I wish people would look back a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, that's and again another insightful response to that question. So thank you very much for that. What we're going to do is, funny enough, you mentioned the Metalheads thing. I'm going to ask you a question now, which is, what was your favourite track that you put out on Metalheads? And then we'll play it, and then we'll come back and answer a few more questions.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's always tough, those kind of things, but. And also, like your relationship or my relationship with my own music changes over time.
Yeah.
There's stuff that I used to rate, I might not rate as much anymore. There's a couple of things, but I think in general, what I'm most proud of on Heads is my second album, Bobby, just because it was like really conceptual, and I felt like I'd grown quite a lot as a producer since my first album.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite tunes on that is Rain, Children of Zeus.
Okay.
I mean, I just love like working with those guys in general. I mean, I love their music. I'm just happy to have made some music with them.
Yeah, you guys have a bit of a history of making good music together, so that
yeah.
helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know, again, it's like that intertwining hip hop and drum and bass.
Yeah, prime
thing.
example.
Yeah. So that's it's one of my favourites of the album.
Okay.
So.
Well, I will press play on the CDJ.
Thank you, sir.
Swoop.
Okay, lovely. And that was Rain with Children of Zeus on your Bobby album, your second album on Metalheads.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Really nice. Okay, well, because time's running down, so what we're going to do is ask a couple more questions, and then if you're happy to provide us with a nice little studio mix, that would be fantastic, sir.
Go on then.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be in trouble if you said no. Okay, right. So this next question is, I mean, it's up to you. The detail that you want to go into on this answer
all right.
is, tell us a funny, not fun, I guess, just tell us a story or horror story from a tour or on your travels. I mean, there's probably lots.
There's a lot, but like the one that stands out the most is I went to an undisclosed country. I don't know if I should disclose. I'm a bit worried if I disclose a country. I went to an undisclosed country and I was doing quite a big show in some kind of warehouse situation with TV and Rhea.
Okay.
And in the middle of my set,
I know this.
You know about this. In the middle of my set, suddenly about 10 guys in balaclavas with machine guns appear in the crowd, right?
My God.
And they rush the stage, and I'm just like, what the hell was going on? Like, I was literally frozen like a deer in headlights because I had no idea what was going on.
Oh my God.
So like they tell me to stop playing, and I stand there, and this guy starts parading up and down the stage. You know what I mean?
Machine guns.
Yeah, machine guns like this, like
God.
all black balaclavas, just like that.
Oh my God.
Just like that. I was just like, whoa. The promoter goes to me, relax, this happens all the time. TV says to me, last tour I did here, they came off the ceiling on ropes. I was like, okay. Anyway, so it was like some kind of drug bust or something. They were like checking the crowd, the audience for drugs. You know what I mean? They're like people were.
My God. If you were on drugs, and then someone with a balaclava and a machine gun comes up to you.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty shook at this point. Anyway, after about 15 minutes, the crowd starts, I don't know.
Just got back to it.
No, they just started getting a bit aggy. The guys leave, and the promoter's like, "Oh, do you want to go back to playing?" And,
what?
And I was just like
the dust had settled, and it's like, carry on.
But I was literally still trying to process this whole thing. I just went back and played.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But yeah, ever since then, I've been back to that country a couple of times. Every time there's like a little worry in there.
That is a great story. I'm glad I asked that question now. Shout out to TB as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Laura, Ria. Okay, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And okay, so I'll ask one more question, and then you can get on the decks. And do you want to just tell us a little bit something about the State of Mind 2?
NQ State of Mind 2.
NQ State of Mind 2. See, well, I've written it down. So, sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just out a couple of weeks ago. Mixed by Red Eyes, hosted by Fox. Okay. It's just this yearly compilation album that we do. The label. I did the first one the year before with Dan Steezo. I mean, kind of inspired by the old Progression Session mixes by Bookham and Conrad.
Yep.
I mean, like the first one, I think that was from '98. Really loved that mix, and I still do really. And it was just
where was that? Is that because they did like Germany, Tokyo?
It wasn't
America.
a live one. They did one where it was just a studio mix.
Okay.
And it's like just all music from Good Looking. So I kind of felt like I'd really like to do a mix that people can listen to, where it's not just a SoundCloud thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like an official mix that's possible to have it on all the streaming platforms and etc. So the only way I can do it is if it's all North Quarter music, and that kind of became an opportunity in itself.
Yeah.
And had like artists doing exclusives for the album as well as older tunes, all just mixed together and hosted as if it was a live set.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, the second one, Red Eyes, is mixed and Fox has hosted, and it's got tunes by people on the label and a couple of other guys like
old and new, or just
old and new. Yeah, there's like 10 exclusive tunes. There's Zero T's got a thing on there. There's a Galaxy remix, a Visage's remix. Me and Red Eyes have got a tune on there. A newish guy called Note, a newish guy called Chanel. What else is on there? Echo Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, so just like
brilliant.
all the crew kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then mixed by the boy Red Eyes and hosted by Fox.
Shout out to Red Eyes. Shout out to Fox.
Yeah, shout outs.
Okay, well.
So yeah, that's out now. Exclusives on vinyl.
So go run that up, everyone.
Go run it up.
Go run it up. Right, so that brings us to the end of the interview. I bet you're glad about that.
I'm straight into the next job.
Yeah, right. Now get over there and earn your keep. Yeah, so well, thanks for coming down. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure. So if you would like to take, unless you want to give anyone a shout out or big anyone up,
just
everybody.
Big up anyone listening. Big up anyone supporting the label. Big up Swoo. Big up Jubei. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, and thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. So if you would like to go over to the CDJs and do your thing.
Will do.